I've recently revisited all 5 of what the industry calls premium cruise lines, as I keep getting asked which is the best these days. Many cruisers are confused by all the recent changes in the fleets, onboard offerings, tweaks to inclusions and exclusions, and the seeming push by all to attract a different passenger type. Welcome aboard, I'm Gary Bembridge, and I'm going to compare each line, including what they're best known for, good at, what they're less good at, and who I think should cruise with them right now and why. But before I dive into the individual lines, let me talk about the premium category, what it is, and importantly, what it is not. The cruise industry divides cruise lines into 5 key categories. The biggest by far, carrying almost 2/3 of passengers every year, is the mainstream resort value line category. This includes Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC Cruises, and Norwegian Cruise Line. The second biggest category, carrying almost 20% of passengers a year, is the premium category. The main lines in here are Princess Cruises, Holland America, Cunard Cruise Line, Celebrity Cruises, and Virgin Voyages. Disney are also considered to be in here due to their pricing, while P&O Cruises UK used to be in here, but they have moved to become a more mainstream resort value line. The third category is small ship luxury cruising, with ships of around 1,000 passengers, with lines like Viking, Oceania, Windstar, Azamara, and Explorer Journeys. Then there is the ultra-luxury category with even smaller ships or suites, many inclusions with lines like Regent Seven Seas, Seabourn, Silversea, Crystal, Hapag-Lloyd, and the new ultra-luxury yacht lines. The fifth category is regional and local lines, ranging from Margaritaville at Sea in the United States to Fred Olsen and Saga in the UK, and Aida, Mein Schiff, and Costa within Europe. Next, all the premium lines have very similar characteristics. First, they tend to be mid-sized to large ships, mostly carrying from 2,000 to 3,500 passengers, and have more space and crew per guest than those mainstream resort lines, so they're less crowded and generally have better service. They have very classic cruise ship designs and layouts. They don't have resort features and attractions like water slides, flow riders, amusement arcades, climbing walls, and so on. But they do have a sizable choice of bars and dining options on their ships. They do offer a classic cruise program with emphasis on enrichment, things like trivia, dancing, live music. They do have production shows, but they're not as big and glitzy or named shows as on the resort lines. And they mostly have decent but not expansive kids clubs too. They have a wide range of cabins from inside to suites. Their fares are roughly about twice the price of those resort lines, but they still have many add-on charges like those do, Wi-Fi, gratuities, drinks packages, and specialty dining, for example. They do tend to cruise more across the world than those mainstream resort lines, those mostly offering Caribbean, Mediterranean, and Alaska cruises. Premium go much more around the world. The Carnival Corporation is most heavily invested in this category. They own 3 of the 5 premium lines, Princess, Holland America, and Cunard. So with all that in mind, let's dive into each of the lines, and we're going to start with the largest based on passengers carried down to the smallest, and the biggest of them is Princess Cruises. Princess have the biggest fleet with 17 ships across 5 different classes of ships, ranging from the new 4,300 passenger Sphere class to the over half that number 2,000 passenger Coral class. These days, they're best known for their wearable medallion-based technology approach to classic premium cruising. This helps speed check-in, it unlocks your cabin door as you approach it, it's used for purchases on the ship, it lets you track and find friends and family, it allows the crew to recognize and call you by name as well. Because they have the biggest and most diverse fleet, they home base ships in various parts of the world across the year, so they offer a wide range of itineraries, meaning cruisers who really like Princess can keep finding new routes to explore. They're also very strong in Alaska, with many ships there in the season, as well as running trains and lodges. Princess is also becoming increasingly well known for offering family and multi-generational travel, and is the most active and packed daily program of all the premium lines in my view, ranging from dance classes, game shows, trivia, silent discos, high-tech production shows, and so on. The ships are focused around the piazza, the atrium, which acts as the heart of the ships, with many of the bars, the restaurants, the entertainment venues radiating around it, and there's many activities and live music held in the piazza. This makes it buzzy and very vibrant heart of the ship. They've also shifted to a big focus on their all-inclusive packages with their Princess Plus and Princess Premier packages, where you can buy a bundle which includes things like drinks, Wi-Fi, casual and specialty dining, and so on. In my view, their biggest weakness is the move into larger and larger ships, which is timed with a clear shift to appeal to younger, multi-generational and family travelers, of course, in those key vacation periods. The new classes of ships are busier and rowdier, especially in vacation times when they are sailing over capacity with many kids sharing parents' cabins. For example, this was the case on my recent Sun Princess cruise where kids actually took over the main pools. Another weakness is the push on selling and upselling. Up to 30% of the daily program activities on sea days on my 2 recent cruises were actually revenue raising based. Despite all of that, they have a strong 3.8 out of 5 passenger rating on sites like Cruise Critic, although I am seeing more mixed reviews recently, mostly driven probably by traditional older cruisers finding the new, bigger ships less appealing. So who are Princess best for these days? Well, they are still ideal for anyone wanting a busy classic cruise experience with lots going on even late into the evening. They're one of the best premium options in my view for families and multi-generational travel, especially on the new Sun and Star Princess. While across the fleet it is still probably well suited for 50 plus couples looking though for a busy, lively, energetic classic experience. Having no solo cabins and usually no solo deals, they cater definitely less well for solo travelers. So let's move on to Celebrity Cruises, which is the next biggest premium line based on passengers carried. Celebrity has 13 ships in their classic fleet and 1 expedition ship in the Galapagos. The classic fleet has 3 classes: the new 3,000 passenger Edge class, the 2,800 passenger Solstice class, and the smaller 2,200 passenger Millennium class. Celebrity is trying to be the most luxurious of the premium lines, claiming to offer modern luxury. They do also, by the way, tend to have slightly higher fares than their competition on most sailings. They're one of the 2 more overtly status-based lines in the category, with dedicated spaces based on the cabin grade taking up big parts of the ship. They have the Retreat ship-in-ship for suites, which includes the exclusive Lumini restaurant, the Retreat lounge and the Retreat deck. These are especially large and elevated on the Edge class ships. They then have Aqua class with a dedicated blue restaurant, which are for concierge, balcony, mini suite kind of cabins, with regular cabins allocated to the main dining room. Although on Edge class, instead of 1, there are 4 restaurants with different cuisine themes that guests move between, which does offer more variety. They're also known for trying to attract younger cruisers and more families, particularly with the trendier, sophisticated and modern Edge class ships. This has strikingly different hull, different internal layout, different decor, these infinite balcony cabins. They have the magic carpet on the side of the ship that's used as a bar and restaurant, then lowered to act as a tender boat platform. These are much hippier and trendier. While offering a classic daily program on all the ships, they do try to give events a more modern twist with more game show style trivia, more deck parties, more contemporary and definitely much more up-to-date music and production shows that use much more up-to-date music. They use technology, acrobatics. The program is not as packed as Princess though. They do have some obvious weaknesses, but these may be a strength based on your point of view. But in my experience, you get different experiences based on the ship class that you're going on. So much so that it can often feel like you're on a different cruise line based on the class you go on. So if you're on the Edge class ships, it has a more youthful, trendier vibe, look, different layout, different experiences, different dining venues. While I found on the Solstice and Millennium class, it was way more conservative, traditional, classic in every respect. The ships have a darker palette. They're actually getting a little bit dated both in terms of venues and cabins, although Celebrity have announced that they will be updating all the Solstice class ships, but that's going to take some years to roll out. But saying all that, they get the highest passenger rating of all the long-established premium lines with a 4 out of 5 rating on sites like Cruise Critic, with the new Edge class ships definitely helping elevate ratings. So in my view, they're best for people who want a classic cruising experience, but with a kind of contemporary, modern, sophisticated spin, but without going as edgy as Virgin has done. And that I will talk about later. They are very good for couples with younger ages, probably 30s, 40s, like to find Edge class more to their taste, while older couples are like to find the Solstice or Millennium a better fit. They're also a very good option for LGBT cruiser couples. They market to that category of travelers. Solos will also find some solo cabins with Edge class catering best for them. So this brings me on to the third largest line Holland America line. Holland America has 11 ships across 4 classes: the newer 3,200 passenger Pinnacle class, the 2,500 passenger Signature class, the 2,400 passenger Vista class, and the older 1,700 passenger Rotterdam class. Holland America offers a much more traditional cruising experience, but without being too formal. It's also known as being a little bit more quiet and sedate, certainly versus the 2 I've discovered so far. They're especially well known for offering probably the best destination range and options in the premium category, and they cover much of the world, often with longer and more immersive journeys. They're also an Alaska expert, sailing there for over 70 years, and they run trains and lodges too. On those longer journeys, they are very well known for good destination talks and immersion, like I experienced firsthand on my South America partial circumnavigation. They have a big focus on live music, although much to regular cruisers' annoyance, they have dialed back on classical music by ending their partnership with the Lincoln Center. But on the newer Pinnacle class ships, they have the Rolling Stone Rock Room, they have B.B. King's and Billboard on board with 2 pianists. The smaller ships just have a Rolling Stone Lounge, which has a large band. They play a more mixed set of music genres, and then they do have the Billboard on board menu. I find dining competitive, probably not as groundbreaking as some of the others in the category, and they have 4 main specialty venues: Pinnacle Grill, Tamarind, Rudy's, Saldamer, and Canaletto. While they have some areas like a small lounge and dedicated dining areas for guests in suites, it's not as elevated or expansive as Celebrity, and also any cabin grade can access some of the areas like those dining areas by buying a Club Orange package, so it's not as kind of locked down for people in suites. In terms of the weaknesses, their production shows are probably the weakest of all the premium category lines, certainly currently, and for some they find it too sedate, too quiet, not a lot of energy, and things not going kind of later into the evenings. In terms of passenger rating, they actually get the same rating as Princess, 3.8 out of 5 on Cruise Critic, so a strong rating overall. In my view, Holland America is best for couples who are looking for a classic, traditional cruise, not too formal, maybe a little bit more sedate, less boisterous, and certainly less busy compared to Princess and Celebrity, and definitely looking for more enrichment, much more destination-led options, and especially looking for longer cruises. So this brings me to the most formal of all the lines, and the next in terms of size, which is Cunard Cruise Line. Cunard have 4 ships in 3 different classes: the 2,700 passenger Queen Mary 2, the 2,000 passenger Vista class, so that's Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria, and a stretched Holland America 3,000 passenger Pinnacle class. Cunard offers a few unique things. First of all, 2 classic heritage routes: the scheduled regular transatlantic crossings between Southampton and New York on Queen Mary 2, and World Voyages, which all of the fleet do at the start of every single year. Secondly, they're the only premium line offering a traditional British cruising experience, while all the others offer a more American cruising experience. Their ships have a rich Art Deco decor, although Queen has dialed that back quite significantly. Next, they are most associated with having a class-based structure on board, but as you've of course heard, they're not the only ones doing it, with Celebrity also doing that. In some ways, Celebrity even more so based on the amount of space they allocate. But like Celebrity, on Cunard, the restaurant you dine in depends on your cabin type. So on here, it's Queen's Grill for suites, Princess Grill for mini suites, and Britannia Club or Britannia for everybody else. Queen's and Princess Grill have a different menu. They have a dedicated kitchen from the Britannia main dining room, and definitely have elevated food, elevated menu. Off-menu ordering is possible too. Fourthly, Cunard is known as being the most formal and traditional of the premium lines. Although it's much more relaxed than a few years ago, it has a stricter dress code that is enforced. So on formal nights, almost all gents will be dressed in black tie tuxedo or a suit, and tie, and ladies in smart gowns. Fifthly, they have a large orchestra and ballroom dancing every night. They have a major afternoon tea event in the Queen's Room, and the focus of the daily program is enrichment talks with up to 4 speakers on most sailings. So in terms of their weaknesses, I think one of the weaknesses is their advertising and marketing makes Cunard sound very luxurious, very sophisticated. But once you're on board, you find it's actually not different to the other premium lines I've been talking about, with food offerings in Britannia really matching the other lines, service very much the same as the other lines. It's not as elevated as people expect. I see another weakness emerging is the visible cost cutting and added charges. For example, charging for room service for Britannia cabin guests after 10 a.m. was introduced just before I make that, but there's noticeably more upselling, many more revenue generating activities. Another weakness I think is the ships are getting dated, especially Queen Mary 2 cabins, though those on Queen Victoria and Elizabeth are getting a little bit dated too. Now I can see in recent ratings that cruisers are much more critical of Cunard than they have been, and they actually get the lowest rating of premium lines. So if I look at the last 6 months, it's about 3.2 out of 5, but all time is about 3.7. So definitely a little bit of weakness in the ratings. But I still feel they are really good for people wanting a traditional, more formal and classic British cruising experience. And you want to know, if you want to know the passengers will all be dressed up on formal nights, there's going to be lots of enrichment, there's going to be ballroom dancing, then this is the only premium line where you can be sure that you're going to get that on every cruise. This does tend to mean that most fellow passengers will be their 60s, 70s and above, normally very British because the ships are mostly UK home based. So the next line I want to talk about, and the smallest of these currently, is Virgin Voyages. They have 4 identical ships carrying 2,700 passengers each. They're best known for being the only 18 plus adult only premium line. And of course, for trying to be different to the other premium cruise lines with more edgy entertainment, more party events, big focus on wellness, and definitely way more inclusions in the base fare, like all of the food, so no special dining charges, gratuities and Wi-Fi in the fare. They do not have a main dining room, but they have a series of restaurants like The Wake, which is a steakhouse, Razzle Dazzle, vegetarian, Gumby, Korean barbecue, Pink Ave, Mexican test kitchen, and so on. The food is extremely good on Virgin and probably some of the best, if not the best, across the premium lines. They claim to not have a buffet, so they have the galley, which is a food court concept. One of the weaknesses of Virgin Voyages is they have very limited destinations, focused on the Mediterranean and the Caribbean. Though they are now starting some West Coast and Alaska cruising. They've tried cruising in other regions like Australia, but they've pulled out of those. They have the highest passenger ratings of all the premium lines, just beating out Celebrity with a rating of 4.1 out of 5 on Cruise Critics, so really strong ratings. Now they're ideal for adults 30s to 50s probably, who want a classic cruise, so they don't want big ship resort features, but they want a classic line that's premium, trendier, more hip than all the others, but they really want a good focus on food and wellness. It's worth noting that the average age on board, based on comments in the trade press, is actually around 50 years old, so it's not as young as many people expect. So don't be put off if you are older. It's suitable and popular, by the way, with LGBT travelers as well. As you reflect on all of this, why not join me over in this video where I look in more detail at the pros and cons of those new Princess Sophia class ships, Sun and Star, that I spoke about at the beginning. See you over there.